Now these are going to be a little bit different because we're not given a point. Instead, we're given a line and a restriction on that line. So let's consider this line in our coordinate grid. Well, the easiest way to graph this line is to write it in slope-intercept form. So we'll subtract x from both sides, divide by 2, and we get y equals negative 1/2 x. So we have a y-intercept of 0 and a slope of negative 1. So let's get some points on here. We start at the origin, and then we go down 1, right 2 units to the point 2, negative 1. We could keep following that slope to continue drawing our line. We could also go in the opposite direction and have negative 2, 1, or negative 4, 2. So we have this line that passes through all these points. If I could get a straight line, that'd be great. Close enough. Well, now we have this restriction to deal with because I have two possible angles here. If my initial side is in standard position, I either rotate to this side of the line and I have an angle that ends in quadrant 2, or I rotate all the way around to this side of the line and I have an angle that ends in quadrant 4. Well, that's where the restriction comes in. Because x must be greater than or equal to 0, we're only going to use the right side of the line where x is greater than or equal to 0. And so this is our angle in standard position. So we'll draw a triangle from one of our points. Which point we use doesn't matter because, again, these are similar triangles. So let's focus on the point 2, negative 1. So we have our triangle formed by the point 2, negative 1. So our x value is 2, our y value is negative 1. Our radius will be 2 squared plus negative 1 squared, which equals the square root of 5. So our radius is the square root of 5. Now we can go ahead and find our trig functions. If x equals 2, y equals negative 1, and r equals the square root of 5, we have sine, we have cosine, we have tangent, we have cosecant, the reciprocal, we have secant, the reciprocal, and we have cotangent, the reciprocal of tangent. Now lastly, we have to look at sine and cosine because these have variables in the denominator, or sorry, not variables, radicals. So we'll need to rationalize them. So recall that we'll rationalize, if I could erase that, we'll rationalize by multiplying by the denominator radical. So if we multiply both fractions by the square root of 5 over the square root of 5, we get negative square root of 5 over 5 for sine, and we get 2 square root of 5 over 5 for cosine. Last but not least, what about an angle of 90 degrees? Well, 90 degrees is going to be an angle that's on the positive y-axis in standard position. So we pick a point. Doesn't matter what point, as long as the x value is 0, y value can be anything. X is 0, y is 1, and the distance from center to the point is 1. So we can write our ratios. Y over r is 1, x over r is 0, tangent is undefined. The reciprocal of 1 is 1, the reciprocal of 0 is undefined, and the reciprocal of something that's undefined is 0. Again, this is a quadrantal angle, so we see that property where all the values are either 1, 0, undefined, or negative 1, and 2 of these 4 functions are undefined. And there's our basics of our trig functions.